everybody, and welcome back to Combe Valley Campers. I'm Lee, and today we're going to be showing you something special. Back in 2020, right at the beginning of lockdown, I had a phone call from Heritage Parts Centre. Now, if you don't know who they are, they supply a lot of parts, custom and original, to the VW scene, campervan scene, and they also deal with Porsches as well. And it was the guys at Heritage who put me on to this job. They gave me a call and said, Lee, would you like to work on quite a special vehicle? And I'm like, sure, yeah, of course. No matter what it is, I'll normally say yes. And they said, right, the vehicle in question belongs to Joe Sugg. And I know Joe because my daughters were a big fan of Strictly Come Dancing, and that's when I learnt about Joe and basically his achievements on that show, and it led me to watch him on YouTube. So the moment I got the opportunity to work on this beautiful vehicle, who is known as Chippy, I definitely said yes. So I think what we're going to do now is do a quick walk around and tell you what we're going to be doing on this vehicle over the next few episodes. If I remember right, Joe bought this vehicle back in early 2020, I think maybe even pre-COVID, and he found that there was lots of things that he loved about Chippy, but there were some things as well that needed some tweaking, and I'm going to show you those now. First of all, and in fact the doors are open now, but there are like 100 keys for all the doors. And I think one of the things he wants doing is to change all of the locks, or at least modify the locks to get in. But first of all, I've already unlocked that door. I found the key, took me a little bit. I've unlocked this one. Let's take you in and show you inside the cab. And what a gorgeous place this is to be. Now, Chippy is a 1966 split screen bus, and it is, I think, I'm right in thinking right now, I'm gonna have to check, but it's a Devon conversion. And if you've noticed, it's a right-hand drive. It's actually a vehicle that was built for the UK market back all those years ago. And the eagle-eyed amongst you will notice, first of all, the gear lever has completely snapped in two. Now, even before it was agreed that Chippy was gonna come down to Combe Valley Campers, Joey sent me a message and was like, Lee, you're gonna like this one, and just showed me a picture of half a gear lever in his hand. And he said, right, now's the time, I think, to come and visit you. So we organized it. It's taken a year in the making, so thanks COVID for everything that you've done. But it's taken a year in the making, and now we're here. And just look how beautiful this is. What we've got is a number of original gauges. So we've got temperature, and we've got the fuel tank or the fuel level, but we've got a couple of other gauges in here as well. I don't really know what half of them are right now, but we're going to look into it. The stereo we have here as well, that's a retrofit digital radio, and we can go into that later on. And we've got this beautiful wood rim steering wheel as well, with a nice Wolfsburg button horn push. Hey, hi Chippy, how you doing? So motor liter wood rim steering wheel on here too. And basically what Joe wants is for this place to be a bit more comfortable, a bit more user-friendly, and just a nicer place to be for when he goes on longer trips. And I think starting with a fixed gear lever is a good start. But he's had, problems with the headlining. He wants just bits and pieces sorted so he can go out with, his friends and family and have a nicer time. So in the cab, we're going to be modernizing it a little bit in terms of we're going to be discreetly fitting maybe some modern USB points. Definitely fixing that gear lever, like I said, and just making sure all the gauges work properly. We're also going to be changing all the gear linkage bushes, so we're getting a nice positive gear change, and we're just going to be double checking we're going to be double checking all of the running gear as well, because obviously he wants it to be as safe as possible. Joe, if you're watching, you asked me to fit disc brakes to this, and it was one of the first things I noticed when the trailer turned up. This already has disc brakes on, but I think what we're going to need to do is put a new brake booster in there, or a servo in there, to ensure that you get a nice positive brake pedal. But finishing off in here, we've got this really nice oat coloured square weave carpet. He's obviously had the seats retrimmed in this lovely tan leatherette, and it's got some brown piping. He's got these really nice tan seat belts that are going on as well. And we will have a chat, see if he wants any more safety features or security features in here, because obviously this is quite a precious thing. But I think that's enough for the cab. Let's have a look in the back. Ugh. There we go, that door is open. And that is one of the things that we've been asked to do as well. If I just gently open that one all the way, there we go. That door doesn't open from the outside, so you can only open it from the inside. And there we go. So yes, list of jobs to do. God, it's nice in here. Ooh, really nice. So yeah, generally the interior is really, really good. But there are another couple of creature comforts that need doing on this. One is the table needs securing, and this leg needs to be secured and done. Joe would also like a new hob to go under, a new hob and grill set to go into that little cupboard there. That cupboard will actually swing out, which is really quite cool. And then you can do some cooking on the outside of the van as well. Again, bits to deal with the headliner. He would like a tutorial. Joe will get that sorted for you. A tutorial on how to open this bed, because it's quite a jigsaw puzzle. You know, I thought you were good at retro games, Joe. You know, it's a good game of Tetris in here. But no, we'll get that sorted for you. And yeah, it's just generally perfecting and tweaking everything so it works really, really nicely. And Chippy continues to be a safe, reliable and fun vehicle that Joe and his family and friends can depend on. Moving around to the back then, the first thing you will notice is just how filthy this van is. It's been in hibernation a little while, but what didn't help was obviously its journey from London. It was a pretty rainy day up there today, but it's here safe and well and delivered. And this is pretty much the same. We're seeing this for the first time, same as you guys. So let's have a look in the engine bay. I think this is pretty much just storage in there. In fact, should we try one of our 100 keys and see if we can get the tailgate open first? Oh, check it out. First try. There we go. Excellent. And what you can see here is parts of the original interior. Again, we're going to go over all of that. It got some really cool cushions. There we go, Joe's #1 follower. Who's that? That's awesome. Right, I don't think there's much to do in terms of the interior, but like I said, let's just go over everything so everything operates correctly, all the drawers run out smoothly and everything else. Going into the engine bay then. I believe it is a rebuilt engine. It's not the original engine that Chippy came with. Originally, this would have come with maybe a 12 or 1600 single port. By looking over this very quickly, this is an AD code twin port engine. AD might well be a 1600. But yes, you can see it's got some fancy pulleys on it. It's got some billet parts, but for the most part, it does look like a nice original engine. However, having a twin port over a single port will give this van a little bit more oomph. We will be dropping the engine and the gearbox so we can get to the fuel tank, check over all the fuel lines, and obviously, like I said before, we've got to do all of the gear linkages. So to do the gear linkages properly, we're gonna have to remove parts of the drivetrain. I look forward to that. So yeah. There we go. As you can see, it's a beautifully presented vehicle, but I think one of the first jobs we've got to do is give it a bath, and then we can start going on with all of the main jobs. Look forward to all the rest of the episodes. We will be keeping a whole playlist of them, and the links will be down below if you haven't seen the playlist for this vehicle yet. Can't wait to delve into this. And very soon we shall have Joe down here to inspect the vehicle with him. I'll see you then. Bye-bye. Before we go any further, I just want to say thank you very much for watching this video. We're doing a whole series on Chippy, so if you don't want to miss any episodes, make sure to give this video a like and click subscribe. Thank you very much. Now back to the show. So after Joe's bus arrived safe and well at the workshop, we gave it a couple of days, took stock of what we had, and then we invited some people over to take a look at the van. What we're going to do, we're going to throw it up on the lift, and then we've invited Butty from Buttys Bits to take a look underneath, and we're also going to have Neil from Lightsteer take a look underneath as well, just to see what we've got going on underneath and what we think needs replacing or restoring or even just preserving. What we're going to do then, we're going to drop it back down, take it for a spin around the block, have a good feel inside the cab of what we think needs fixing from in there. And then I think because it's been so well behaved, we're going to go and take it for a bath. Right, so we are now sat in Joe's bus, his 66 Splitty, and we thought before we do any major work on it, we'll have a quick test drive. Now we've already driven to this point, so I've got a couple of things to point out. First of all, if you're 6 foot and over, it's not the most comfortable of vehicles, mainly because of the leg space and stuff like that. But we're here to point out the good and the bad, so let's go. Okay, one of the first things then, I don't quite know if the indicators are working. I think they're working one side. Whoa. But they're not working the other. Now, can you hear that for a start? That little squeak we think is the speedo, because the little needle on the speedo is bouncing, and that's one of the parts that, unless your speedo's completely broken and not showing the speed at all, it seldom gets replaced. So that's one of the things. We'll put that on the list, speedo cable. But driving it is a lovely experience because it is such an iconic vehicle. You know, you've got the screen right here, you've got this beautiful wood-rimmed motor-liter steering wheel, and yeah, it's just a fantastic place to be. You feel a little bit close to the windscreen and close to the front, but apart from that, it is just a wonderful place to be. Now, what's good with this van, or this bus? Well, first of all, it's running and driving. It seems to have a very sweet little engine, and it can turn quite a bit of speed, which is quite nice, as we found so far. However, there is a huge bog when you put your foot down on the accelerator when you come to pull away from a junction or the traffic lights. There's a bit of a bog in it, so we've got to finely tune that carburetor, and we can maybe go and see our friend John Wood, and he can maybe put this on the rolling road. We'll have to find out. That would be a good thing to do, I think. The steering and suspension and brakes work, but that's one of the reasons why it came to us, because there's a little play in there before you actually turn a wheel or turn a corner. There's a little bit of play there, and I've already had Neil from Lightsteer, who does power steering kits and rebuilds steering boxes and things like that, and he's going to be rebuilding the box for us. That's a really good start, and we'll offer Joe the option of maybe power steering as well, because the kits from Lightsteer are just the best ones out there, and one of the only ones out there. When it was up on the ramp, you saw me and Simon from Buttys Bits. We were having a look underneath, and you can see that there is a lot of play in all of the moving parts. Obviously, this vehicle's had a lot of money spent on the interior, a lot of money spent on the bodywork, but when it comes to running gear, there you go, that's that lull I was talking about. But I think it's the suspension components, especially the king and link pins, which are the parts either end of the beam which hold the stub axles on, which hold your spindles on, sorry, and hold your front wheels and brakes on. They all seem to be quite loose, so that all needs coming off, taking. We also noticed the front beam not in the best of states, and the front beam, it's unconventional in terms of suspension, but quite common on the air-cooled VWs. So the front suspension, rather than springs, it uses strips of metal called torsion bars, and the beam is what holds all those torsion bars together. And after 50 years of use, they do wear out and they get rusty. And this one's been welded up before, but we think for years of uninterrupted use and reliable use on this vehicle, we suggest a new beam is a good way to go. And we'll be looking at things like changing the shocks as well. Come on, let's find first. There we go. We'll be changing the shock absorbers as well. And just going around every moving component. We'll change the throttle cables, we'll change the brake cables, clutch cables, all the things, and we're looking at brake hoses. And one of the things Joe complained about especially was the fact that the brakes aren't up to standard, even for a modern vehicle. So if I push on the brakes now, there's a lot of movement there before even the brakes have any force, and also you really have to slam on the brakes before anything actually happens. And that's because this vehicle in particular doesn't have a servo. You found most vehicles of this age didn't have a servo in the brake system. But if you've got a big vehicle like this with disc brakes, you know, a servo's certainly going to be the best thing to have on here as well. So what it really needs is just a complete overhaul of the suspension and the drivetrain. And with companies such as Heritage Parts Centre, Buttys Bits, Neil at Light Steer, you know, we'll get all those parts together and we'll make for a really, really solid vehicle. But I think to best gauge on what's needed, you throw it up on the ramp, you have a look underneath, you look at all the parts, and also take it out for a test drive as well. So the information I have gained from this small test drive then is, one, that it runs and drives, which is great, but everything needs a good going over. Everything needs a fine tune, especially with the running gear. And luckily, with the people we know and the contacts we have, we should make for a rather lovely vehicle. And one thing you might have noticed, and we'll get a shot of this in a second, is the fact there's only half a gear lever. That's why I'm reaching all the way down here, is because Joe managed to snap the gear lever while trying to find reverse in his storage facility. So yeah, Joe, it's drivable, but I am having to reach down and, you know, change gear right down here, but we're still getting there. I even found reverse. But no, what a lovely place to be. And I just can't wait getting stuck into this van and making it the van it actually deserves to be. And there we have it, all beautifully clean. And the next time you see this vehicle, we're basically going to be having it up on the lift again and tearing it apart. Today was really useful actually. We've got the specialists in, we've had a look around, we've given it a test drive, and we've got all the information we needed to know. So we're now going to tear it apart, like I said, take it to all the specialists to repair, restore, or just replace. And then we'll see you on the next episode where we'll start working on Chippy. See you then. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Combe Valley Campers. If you like this sort of content, it's not just projects that we do. We've got over 150 videos showing you how to build, maintain, repair and convert your own camper van. Now, all the videos and playlists you'll find in links down below, but you can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and we also have a podcast, which is the CAMPERVAN cast. And again, you can find it in a link down below. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.